Welcome back, guys. Today I'm going to attempt to explain calculus as I remember it. And when you start learning calculus, the first thing they teach you is limits, which I've always found kind of annoying. So I'm going to approach it from a more layman perspective, which is how I understand it. Anyway, before getting into that, let's go back to some basic math. All right, so let's say if we're given a function, right? So let's say we have a graph. We have a y-axis and an x-axis. And over here in the x-axis, and instead of the y-axis, we're going to call this the function of x. And the reason for that is because in this x right here, this is given, so like in the real world, it would be equivalent of, let's say, time, the performance of a certain aspect over time. All right, so instead of f of x, which is kind of unwieldy, but let's just change that to y. So f of x, we're going to call it y. And when we start plotting the graph, we're going to have a x and y. All right, so this part, when I was learning algebra, gave me problems when I was a kid. So just think of f of x and y, they're the same thing. All right, we're going to call f of x. Let's say we're given a function that f of x is equal to x. So if we have something like this and we plot this out, if x is 0, f of x or y would be 0, right? If x is 1, well, f of x would be 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, so on and so forth. I'm sure you could see the pattern, right? So let's plot this out. We have 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, so on and so forth. So when you're given a function f of x is equal to x, what that does is it produces a line, produces a straight line. So that's pretty intuitive, right? And if we were to ask, well, what is the slope of this line? Well, the slope of the line is just changing y over changing x. And in math and physics, change is usually denoted by delta. So slope of the line would be equal to changing y over changing x. So what's that mean in math? So let's just take two sets of numbers right here. Between x is 2 and 1, which is here, 2, 1. So we're going to take this block out right here. 2, we have y, and y is equal to 2 minus 1. X is equal to 2 minus 1. And the result is 1 over 1. So therefore, the slope is equal to 1. So it's probably pretty obvious that this entire thing is probably equal to 1 because it's unchanging. So that's just some basic information we're going to need to figure out what we're going to be doing later. All right, so let's change this up a little bit, make it a little more interesting. If we had a function, all right, if y, or we're not going to use f of x anymore, we're going to use y, because f of x and y are interchangeable. All right, y is dependent on x. F of x is dependent on x. So if we create a new graph, x, y. So if y is equal to x plus 1, what does that line look like? Well, let's plot it out. X, y. When x is 0, y is 0. No, when x is 0, y is 1. When x is 1, y is 2. 2, 3, so on and so forth. So to plot it out, what it looks like is when x is 0, y is at 1, x is 1, y is at 2. So essentially the same line, but we are 1 unit up. This 1 right here brings this entire line up 1 tier. What about the slope? What is the slope of this line? Well, this line is probably the same as this, right? So you could see how adding just adding a number here doesn't change the slope of the equation. So the slope, which is changing y over changing x, is still, we take between 2 and 1, as we've done before. It's now 3 minus 2 over 2 minus 1. The slope is still 1. All right, so I hope you're still with us, because this is pretty rudimentary stuff. All right, so assuming that you got all of that, like what we've covered is just algebra. Now let's, assuming if we were given a new equation. Now, if the equation now is y is equal to x squared. All right, so don't let that exponent threaten you. Just, we're going to do the same. We're going to plot it out. So if we had an x and a y, and we're plotting this, when x is 0, y is 0, x is 1, y is 1, x is 2, y is 4, 3, 9, so on and so forth. So this is actually a parabola, right? So a reverse parabola, I should say. So when you plot it out, x is 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 4, 3, 9, so on and so forth. So you're going to have a chart that looks like this. We didn't plot the negative side, but, trust me, it's going to look like this. Because when you square something, it becomes double negative, becomes a positive. And so you end up with an upside down parabola. And so in this case, what is the slope of this line? Well, it's different. It's like if you're here, it's probably like less steep. And if you're here, it's more steep, so on and so forth. And the reason they go into, when they start teaching calculus, they start working on limits, is because of this very fact that the slope changes. But in essence, all derivation in calculus, there's two components. There's first half is derivative, the second half is antiderivative, which is just integration. And integration, so when you find the derivative of something, you're finding the slope of a line, whatever line you're given. And equations translate into lines, and lines, finding the derivative of something just finds the slope of the line at a certain point. And so, and when you integrate, you find the area under the line. So in this case, if we were to integrate, which is, we'll cover that another time, you'll be finding the area under the curve, right? Which couldn't be easily done with basic algebra and geometry and trig. So in essence, that's what it is. That's why people start teaching derivation through limits. But we're not going to do that because it's always confused the hell out of me. So if we were to find this line, the slope of this line, given a point, given an x, there's this thing called the power rule. So the power rule is where if you're given whatever variable, let's say y is, in this case, x to the squared, right? So the power rule is just to take this exponent, bring it down to the front as a consonant, and wait, I think it's called a consonant. Well, a constant. Anyway, you bring this number down to the front and you subtract the exponent by 1. So in this case, if we want to derive this formula, find the derivative of this formula, usually we imply it by saying y prime. So y prime would be equal to, according to the power rule, 2x to the first power. So what that means is we've taken an original formula and we've converted into something that will tell us the slope of the line at any given point on this curve. All right, so let's test that out. So y prime is equal to 2x, right? X, y prime. So when x is 0, what is the slope of the line? When x is 0 right here. Well, if you take a tangent to the curve, which is just the point just touching the curve, at 0, the slope is 0. So let's kind of shift over a little bit. When x is at 2, what is the slope of the line? So let's say let's do by the numbers. When x is 1, the slope is 2x, right? So is that true? So the slope is almost like this. This is the derivative of the line. When x is 2, slope is 4. So on and so forth. So we've just done calculus. The power rule, is almost like the first trick in learning about derivation, finding derivatives. So calculus, how I learned it was I learned it in 3 components, and it took forever. I had a stint in high school and then many tries in college. So in 1, they teach you about derivatives. And in 2, they teach you about integration, also known as antiderivative. And these first 2 are single variate. And in the 3rd semester, we went into multivariate. Multivariate calculus. So what the hell does that mean? In essence, you noticed when we were working with this earlier, we're working on a 2D plane, right? We're working with an x and a y. And that's great if the whole world is just x and y. And we have to master the x and y first before we can go into 3-dimensional, which the world is x, y, z, right? And, multivariate, the whole point is just to add a different dimension so that way, we could create 3-dimensional things like most of the real world is. So, don't worry about the nuance of all of this. Just remember power rule, derivatives, And what derivatives do is, in a 2D scenario, if you're given a equation, let's say you have a line, just an oscillating. So this is probably a sine. Y is equal to sine of x. If given this line, how do we find the equation that will give us the slope of the line as you're progressing? So just think of derivatives as slope. At a given, let's say in this case, x. So yeah, that's all I wanted to cover for today. Just more theoretical stuff and not yet practical. And then in the next episode, I'll go over some practical examples of where we can use derivatives. And just a preview of what to look for in integration. So in integration, whereas we simplified the concept of derivation with finding the slope, the integration is just finding the areas under the curve. So for instance, if we're given this line, and we were given a limit. Oh, I said I wasn't going to use limits. But in limit, in terms of, for instance, if there's an infinite line and we want to find a boundary, all right, not a limit. So we want to find the area under the curve of this kind of half circle right here. How will we go about doing so? So that's what integration does. In the second semester of calculus, this is all that's covered. Well, majority of what's covered. All right, more to come. I hope this helped you.